Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh. And today we're going to go into the new automated market maker that David Schwartz has presented in a recent keynote speech. Now, this is not the first time that he's talked about adding an automated market maker to the XRP Ledger's DEX. So a DEX stands for a decentralized exchange. So the XRP Ledger is the OG DEX. It's had an order book built into it since 2012, where it could execute cross-currency payments, and that's been its predominant use case. But now, with the proliferation of automated market makers on things like Ethereum with Uniswap, SushiSwap, David Schwartz proposes, and this started back last October at Apex, and I got a couple really good video clips to dive into and to really get an understanding of what they're trying to build here. And he does speak of this secret sauce that he won't reveal. But one thing he does reveal is that arbitrage takes away from the users and the liquidity providers from being able to earn and to make profit. So we know that DEX volume has exploded in the past 2 years. And he explains that in some of the videos that we're going to see right now. I'm just super excited the fact that this is something that I kind of saw about a year or two coming, that everything was going to come back to the core of the XRP Ledger's DEX. Like, they built that there from the beginning with the intention that liquidity was going to run through that DEX at some point. And now let's listen to the first clip from David Schwartz in his recent keynote speech.
Trade against the automated market maker to make a profit when it misprices are called arbitrageurs. That's important to understand because it results in a reduction in the returns that an automated market maker can get versus one that might have an external price feed. The XRP Ledger has a built-in decentralized exchange, including all kinds of features like peer-to-peer credit, sophisticated multi-hop payment features, and so on. And that leaves the XRP Ledger uniquely positioned to leapfrog other DEXs by offering a unique automated market maker implementation. Probably the most unique feature is it allows those who provide liquidity for automated market makers to take a large share of the profits that would normally go to arbitrageurs. Can't really talk about the secret sauce just yet. Probably the most unique feature is it allows those who provide liquidity for automated market makers to take a large share of the profits that would normally go to arbitrageurs. Can't really talk about the secret sauce just yet. We're not going to be able to get there alone. Ripple can't do this by itself. We're working with the broader XRP Ledger community to expand the DeFi ecosystem with this automated market maker implementation.
So this is a Ripple engineered solution that they're building with this automated market maker. And as you could see, he says he can't disclose the secret sauce here. I'm not even going to try to speculate what that is, but he kind of gives us hints that it's going to allow users to be able to stake their XRP and to be able to earn returns on fees. Now, the more volume that gets driven through the automated market makers, the liquidity pools, the more fees that you're going to earn. And now by having a DEX order book at the center of the whole XRP ledger, they're going to tie this in with federated sidechains. I mean, it's already RippleNet and ODL are tied in with this. They just have synthetic order books that they use for RippleNet. So it's great to see that it's all coming full circle and that the ability to be able to leapfrog other DEXs out there. Now, this is not to say that DEXs in the market right now aren't some of the best solutions for the time being, and especially things that are on flare. But you can't really argue with the point that the order book DEX plus what they're building here with these liquidity pools, this is going to allow retail and also institution to be able to both provide liquidity and tap into these pools of liquidity to contribute to and draw off of. So let's listen to the second clip here.
XRP Ledger execution times are below 10 seconds. And lastly, the XRP ledger has no block producers, no miners or stakers who can reorder, remove, or front run your transactions. There's no MEV on the XRP ledger. And that's good for people who want to use the DEX because those costs come out of their pockets. Because of the XRP ledger's inherent advantages as an AMM and DEX platform, Ripple's engineering team is designing an expansion to XRP ledger's order book DEX to include an automated market maker, offer better user experience, and greater liquidity to this long tail of tokens. Liquidity providers will get better returns through the inherent execution advantages of the XRP ledger that I just mentioned, and a sort of secret sauce that will allow liquidity providers to get more of the profits normally lost to arbitrage, and it will be bolstered by incentive programs. Execution advantages of the XRP ledger that I just mentioned, and a sort of secret sauce that will allow liquidity providers to get more of the profits normally lost to arbitrage, and it will be bolstered by incentive programs. Traders will get better pricing and better order execution due to integration with existing order books. They won't have to change anything they do. You'll be able to execute the same payment and trading transactions on the XRP ledger. You'll get more liquidity and better payment and trade execution. This is because the XRP ledger already supports cross-asset payments, and it supports cross-asset payments through multiple paths. So one of the problems with a cross-asset payment, let's say I'm spending XRP to pay somebody Bitcoin, is I'm going to draw down an order book, or I'm going to push the market against me. I'm going to take the cheapest liquidity first, and then I'm going to have to move to more expensive liquidity. The XRP ledger has multi-path payments that can draw down liquidity from multiple sources, and that will include the various automated market makers. So for example, if I'm going from XRP to USD, I can go directly from XRP to USD through an automated market maker order book, but I could also go XRP Bitcoin USD, XRP Ethereum USD through these multiple paths. And if I draw down multiple paths at the same time, I don't have to move the market as much, and so I can get a better rate. Done right, automated market makers on the XRP ledger could be a game changer, uniquely positioning it to leapfrog other DEXs. Key time, I don't have to move the market as much, and so I can get a better rate. Done right, automated market makers on the XRP ledger could be a game changer, uniquely positioning it to leapfrog other DEXs.
So you heard it right there from him. This solution is going to be able to leapfrog other solutions out there in the market. And I liked one thing that he slipped in there was there'll be some type of incentive program. I mean, we could speculate a little where those incentives could come from. There just happens to be this escrow with $1 billion that come out every month. Just saying, that would be an ideal place for some incentives, because the goal here is to provide deep liquidity and to bring other assets onto the XRP ledger. And they're going to happen through these all bridges and these multi-chains that are coming on now. Those are great, but those are little like baby bridges. The real bridges are going to come through something like what Flare's building with Layer Cake, and then XRP Ledger's federated sidechain that's EVM based. So they're building an EVM based federated sidechain. And this is likely where I could see a lot of those assets coming on to the XRP Ledger. Now, one thing he doesn't talk about in any of this is the idea of having an identity solution and pay string, but that will all be worked in. Because you got to remember, in 2015, 2016, when they dealt with the whole FinCEN fine, they were planning on implementing an identity solution and a domain name system. And that was well over 7 years ago now. So throughout all that time, they've built RippleNet up, and now coming back full circle to where Liquidity Hub will likely run through the XRP ledger. And he said automated market makers. So you'll have different pools that will have different assets in them. Now, will everything be paired to XRP? Probably not. Will most things be paired to XRP? Yes. So what does this do? This drives more utility, and it's more demand for XRP to be used in liquidity. Now, you'll have to say, well, what about if I'm going to mint FXRP and put that on Flare? This is why multiple use cases are good. There's not just one for just one asset. These assets are part of protocols, and the XRP lives natively on the XRP ledger. FXRP is a great thing for Flare to be able to use in EVM smart contracts, but the XRP ledger is going to have its own applications and its own liquidity. And I know I've had already some people ask me, oh, is this going to tie in with what Flare is doing with Layer Cake? I really don't know. There's nothing that points to that. You could speculate. There's a lot of coincidences that Layer Cake happens to be coming out at the same time, that this automated market maker amendment's going to be put out, federated sidechain is going to be put out. I can see the EVM sidechain being a perfect on-ramp from Layer Cake assets onto the XRP ledger. And we're going to have multiple sidechains. So you're going to have to think of it like the way Polkadot has multiple parachains, there'll be multiple sidechains. And now the XRP ledger is really starting to ramp up. Once that we have NFTs, we have sidechains, and then we'll have one sidechain with hooks, we'll have one sidechain with EVM smart contracts, and they'll all be able to tap into these automated market maker liquidity pools, and you'll be able to earn. And the more volume that runs through them, if they could cut down the arbitrage, so as he explains, the arbitrage on networks like Ethereum because of the miner extractable value, and then also the delay in the settlement eats into the profits, even though $1 trillion went through DEXs, automated market maker DEXs last year. $1 trillion, that's a lot of money. So the centralized exchange model, I don't think it's going to die, but the idea of having on-chain trading is going to proliferate and only going to expand. And DeFi is only going to expand. If you think DeFi is going to die, well, David Schwartz is going to tell you the exact opposite shortly. But listen to the third video. After this, we got two more.
The advantage of having the more limited feature set is that it's not possible for it to sort of have misfeatures that you don't like. It's going to be more liquid because of liquidity aggregation across assets due to the pathfinding and multipath that I was talking about. The amazing thing is that the primary way to arbitrage or trade will be through making a payment. So this is a weird thing to think about. Let's say there's an automated market maker that's going between XRP and USD, and you want to arbitrage against it. You want to make it, let's say it's selling USD, it's selling XRP at too low a price, and you want to buy XRP from it. What you do is you just pay yourself XRP. That's it. You make a payment to yourself of XRP. And if the automated market maker provides the best rate, it'll use it automatically. And then there's the secret sauce I mentioned, reducing impermanent loss. This is novel in the automated market maker market. Much of the profits that arbitrageurs would have taken will wind up as additional revenue to the liquidity providers who loan assets to the pool. An automated market maker implementation would include not only XRP ledger protocol changes, but support in developer libraries, SDKs, middleware, and so on. Liquidity providers would need to use new methods to contribute liquidity, but everyone else will use it through the existing pathfinding payment and exchange mechanisms. We're also partnering with the XRP ledger on a number of native DeFi support solutions and developer tooling, things like hooks, native EVM chain, and federated sidechains to bring access to DeFi. So there's not going to be one token to rule them all. There will be major cryptocurrencies, minor cryptocurrencies, stable coins, application fuel tokens, tokenized securities, and who knows what else. And for that system to work, moving easily and fairly between the tokens you want to hold and the token you need right now is going to be at the core of the DeFi ecosystem. With that, I'll end by saying I believe the crypto market is favoring those exchanges with high innovation and high scalability. And innovations like the XRP Ledger automated market maker are just an example of working to own a slice of that DeFi pie. And don't expect to see DEX or DeFi innovation slow down anytime soon. Expect the opposite, in fact. I invite you all to explore Ripple's automated market maker specification, which will be published to the wider XRP Ledger community shortly. Thank you.
So I thought that was a lot of interesting comments here that we got to discuss. First, he says the mechanism is going to basically remove impermanent loss. So I think that's one thing a lot of people are concerned about when you provide liquidity. Because providing a steady stream of liquidity can earn you a lot of revenue if there's a lot of volume going through it. And if it's done right in a way that could leapfrog some of these other DEXs and automated market makers that we've seen out there. Now, he says Ripple's engineering team has built it, but they're partnering with the broader XRP community, which means they can have tooling and other dApps that are going to then utilize these functionalities. Because you can't just have automated market maker DEXs. Just look over at Ethereum. You started with Uniswap, and then from there, it proliferates out. You have yield aggregators. You have a whole robust ecosystem develops. And now with the NFT amendment going through, it's going to open up even more possibilities for tokenized assets. So we've really just scratched the surface of what's possible in DeFi. A lot of things have been experimental so far, but we've just been replicating DeFi products until the moment comes, and it will be soon, where we start creating new, innovative products that you can't even comprehend. And they're already going to be starting very soon. You'll start to see some of them on Flare and the way that their vote tokens are set up, where they basically refactor the assets. But that's for another video. That'll be coming out shortly. That's a deep dive on that one. But here, I love the fact that they're working with the community on this. And this will be an amendment. So this will be voted on. I would expect, let's see, listen to this next video. And this was from October 2021. So we're looking at, looking at almost 9 months ago, they've been working on this. And there is some information on their GitHub. There's just nothing about the secret sauce. So I'm not sure what the secret sauce is. I'm not sure if it's going to be like single staking. We'll see. I don't even want to speculate there, because all he gave away was arbitrage. That basically it's going to avoid that arbitrage, which means more value back into the hands of liquidity providers. But what the great thing here is, liquidity providers can either be the big hedge fund, like an Arrington Capital, or they could be you or me. And we could both provide liquidity, and we could both earn fees. And this is that idea of democratizing finance. So for the continuous, once again, I'm going to reiterate that XRP Ledger and XRP are not just for banks. I mean, if this just doesn't tell you it here, I mean, just completely ignoring the reality of the facts, that the ledger is open, it's permissionless, and it's decentralized, and anyone can build on it. So we need to continue to keep that in mind, because if you start losing that and thinking that this is something that's by the elites and all that, you forget what you're invested in. Know what you're invested in. Not financial advice, but know that it's a decentralized, open, permissionless ledger where anybody can build anything on. And we've already seen a nice proliferation with the Zum app. The Zum app is awesome. You could go on there, you could trade with the DEX. But imagine now you have DeFi apps where you could stake, and you have automated market makers. And now we'll have Flare, we'll have the XRP Ledger. So within the next year, you're going to see an explosion of an ecosystem like you've never seen before. Something that's going to come as a shock to many in this community who even been here for 4 years. And you sat there and you held your XRP on the ledger for 4 years, hoping that's going to be a lottery ticket. But now we're coming to a point where that's really not what digital assets are about. They're about network infrastructures and protocols and building applications on them and earning revenue with your assets in a safe, secure way. Everyone has different risk profiles, and those decisions will have to be made by you based on depending what application you depend to put your assets in. But liquidity providing is a pretty safe thing to do, because this is what market makers do. They're going to take less profit on the moonshot and more consistent revenue, and they'll take less of a loss on the volatility downwards if they just sat in a liquidity pool, say between XRP and USD. They'll continue to earn fees, and yes, they'll get some upside, not as much if you just held all in XRP, and then if XRP goes down, you would just get less volatility. Like, you wouldn't take as much of a loss. So I think retail has a tough time really grasping that. And on top of that, besides the fees, there's likely to be a incentive program. Now, if they incentivize with XRP, that's a very rare thing. You don't see blue chip cryptos being used as incentives for liquidity mining programs. It's usually like random dApp tokens or secondary dApp tokens. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they do with XRP, remember, they have Liquidity Hub that's being built right now. And that all is going to eventually tie into this. Now, that's for crypto services, for enterprises to easily plug in, integrate a single API to be able to offer their customers like custodial crypto services. not everyone is going to want to use non-custodial wallets and want to custody their own assets. And I think we'll see things that will be hybrids in the middle, where you could get some of those security benefits, but at the same time, you'll also be able to access all the different DeFi and dApps that are built on these different infrastructures. Because I consider DEXs, like he says here, it's a core infrastructure of the whole DeFi ecosystem. Without DEXs and automated market makers, they don't have anything, because that's trading and making markets. And I think lending and borrowing are kind of the second component to that. It's going to be interesting to see how this turns out on the XRP ledger. We have very few details. It's easier to kind of imagine what Flare is going to be, because we know that's EVM smart contracts. We know kind of what's going to be built there, but even that, we don't know everything quite yet with. All right, let's move on. This is 2 more videos here, quick ones, from the Apex Summit in 2021, October.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about is automated market making. As I mentioned before, the XRP ledger is the OG DEX. You know, we had a DEX in 2012. We have cross-currency payments. We have issued assets. We built the XRP ledger. We designed it, and other people have extended it with the payments use case in mind. And that payment use case is a cross-currency payment world. It's a world where some people like dollars, some people like euros, some people like Bitcoin, some people like XRP. It's a multi-token world. It's a tokenized world where maybe other types of assets are tokenized. And liquidity is sort of the secret sauce to making that work. XRP, it's a multi-token world. It's a tokenized world where maybe other types of assets are tokenized. And liquidity is sort of the secret sauce to making that work. I think personally, my earliest vision that I think has held for 10 years now was this idea of sort of public pools of liquidity. In existing payment systems, you're stuck with that payment system's liquidity. If you use Western Union, you get their cash in, you get their cash out, you get their liquidity, whether you like it or not, and you can't unbundle those things. That early vision was these pools of liquidity that everybody can contribute to and everybody can draw off, that are kind of unbundled from the payment system or the asset that you're using to pay with those things. That early vision was these pools of liquidity that everybody can contribute to and everybody can draw off, that are kind of unbundled from the payment system or the asset that you're using to pay with. Automated market makers, I think, will help improve that liquidity because they can capture a long tail of assets better than technologies like order books can. We've been working with the community on an automated market maker implementation for the XRP ledger. And today, for the first time, I think I'm going to let the world know that it has a mechanism that I don't believe exists in any other automated market maker design in the world, that allows the stakers, the people who put the liquidity into the automated market maker, to command a larger share of the profits that would normally go to arbitrageurs, increasing the return. I do want to talk about why I think that the XRP ledger is uniquely suited to exploit that type of technology.
So David Schwartz there at the October Apex Summit, talking about the automated market maker and what they were doing back then. So I thought that's really powerful. And then we got one more clip here from David Schwartz.
3 features of the XRP ledger that it's had, forever, make automated market makers work much, much better. And then with the mechanism that we're working on that will allow them, the pool, to recapture much of the profits that the arbitrage makes, almost as if the pool were arbitraging against itself, market makers work much, much better. And then with the mechanism that we're working on that will allow them, the pool, to recapture much of the profits that the arbitrage makes, almost as if the pool were arbitraging against itself, we're hopeful that that will incentivize very, very deep pools of liquidity on the XRP ledger that will make movement between tokens very efficient. So that could be, I think that could be a game changer. I also want to talk a little bit about very deep pools of liquidity on the XRP ledger that will make movement between tokens very efficient. So that could be, I think that could be a game changer.
So he's calling this a game changer. And these deep pools of liquidity that he's talking about, I think this can have profound effects at accelerating or elevating the XRP ledger to the status that it rightfully belongs. And we've only went through the first phase of DeFi. DeFi started in 2020. Now we're going to start getting into that institutional, regulated DeFi space where now things like Flare, things like the XRP ledger are really going to shine. The experiments are great, but he brings up one other thing I just want to bring up quick, was that the feature set, even though the XRP ledger doesn't have Turing complete smart contracts, it has these native smart transactors in them. And they're going to add a new one for the automated market maker. This allows for more of a secure, safe operation of these automated market makers. Instead of you see these big hacks that happen and these front running of miners in other networks, I really find it ironic with the Ethereum thing that they claim everything's so decentralized. Meanwhile, miners can literally just front run transactions and on any user, and they're like the dictator for that moment. I think that's the most undecentralized that you could possibly be. And the other thing is governance. Ethereum has absolutely no governance, and I'm not trying to pick on Ethereum here, but there's no governance. But they like to play that off as decentralized. Flare has an amazing governance built into it to the point where it's basically a DAO. At least the XRP ledger has some governance in the fact that the UNL, we could upgrade amendments. They don't need to hard fork the network to add this. The validators vote and the nodes vote too, and the validators vote based on what many of the nodes want to do. Now we've seen Ripple been denied, but it's the validators that vote. And the proposals could be put up by anybody. Like, I think it's great that Ripple's engineering team is building this. I would want a multi-billion-dollar company building the code, but it's not their choice that they could just unilaterally implement it. It has to be approved by the greater validator community. And if there's something in there that they don't like or that favors only Ripple, that's not fair and it won't get approved. But this is going to be an amendment, so I expect this out shortly. I mean, they're going to release documentation very soon. So once they release the documentation, I'll do another video on that and going through the details because, he only basically said it's going to remove arbitrage, it's going to create deep pools of liquidity, and you and I are going to be able to participate in it and be able to earn revenue alongside big market makers. How great is that? I mean, I just think that's amazing. And remember, Uniswap was doing a massive amount of volume last year, but the liquidity providers were not making that much money because the miners were extracting value. There was massive impermanent losses. There was delayed settlement times. There was arbitrage eating through it. Now, if the XRP ledgers could remove all of those losses and give that value back to liquidity providers, I think it's really going to be something special. So on that note, I'm Mickey B. Fresh, and I'm out.